Welcome to the Bold Life Movement podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Rich, and each week I bring you inspiring stories from real people to help you live a more passionate and intentional life. You'll learn how to up-level in everything from relationships, entrepreneurship and leadership, to spirituality, sexuality, and yes, even money. If you're interested in raising your game to be a better business owner, a better lover, and a happier, more fulfilled human, then you're in the right place. No more living on autopilot. You are just an episode away from a bolder, better, more fulfilling life.
This is episode 79 with Laura and Ben Harrison.
Ben and Laura, I'm super stoked to have you guys on. I loved your story. When your team reached out, I was like an instant yes for having you on the show. So thank you so much for coming on the Bold Life Movement.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. We're excited to be here and share our story.
Definitely.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, so we were chatting a little bit offline about, life before Jonas Paul eyewear, and we'll definitely get into the business, but I am curious, what is your background? What were you guys doing before that, such that now you are able to be so successful with this company?
Yeah, great question. What did we do again? No, because we did a lot of things. We were kind of serial entrepreneurs. But I went to undergrad for photography and graphic design, and then Laura went for communications. And we ended up moving to Grand Rapids, Michigan to go to an art school. So I got my Master of Fine Arts in photography, kind of headed towards the professor track. And along the way, right out of college, you have a lot of friends that are getting married and things like that. And they find out you're a photographer and they want affordable photography. So it's kind of like, hey, could you shoot my wedding? And then that kind of developed into a photography business. And we grew that. And I happened to be good at SEO back in the days when SEO was easier. And we showed up for a lot of destination wedding photography searches and got to kind of fly all over the world doing photography. And then recognized needs just in our own industry along the way, did some design resources for photographers, and also launched a website template hosting company. And kind of talking about that, life was good and we were kind of in the visual arts and just had good lifestyle businesses. But at the same time, kind of thinking about your podcast and what you stand for, we kind of felt like we were in a good place and we had a comfortable living, but we felt like we just weren't making an impact, or felt like our business and our impact on the world was kind of these two mutually exclusive things. And we felt like there should be a way to do business and impact in one, if that's really what you're passionate about. And so our answer came in the form of our son, which we weren't expecting, our first child. We were married for 7 years, had Jonas in March 2013. And he was born blind, so you could imagine the devastation for us and the kind of just the earth-shattering nature of that, especially being visual artists and experiencing the world the way we did and making our living through our site. And
wow, I just got chills.
I
didn't even think about that. I didn't even connect those dots.
So that was a huge thing we wrestled with, just because we were such visual people and that's how we experience the world. Will he see a sunset and will he see all these things? Your mind just kind of runs through these scenarios in your head. And eventually kind of got to that point where we just felt like we had to accept Jonas for who he was so that he never felt a sense of disappointment from us. And that kind of allowed us to kind of literally open our eyes and just experience the world more fully using all 5 of our senses, and also opened us up to this world of kind of visual impairment, whether it's blindness through, just corrective eyewear, and looked for options for kids and felt like they were lacking. They had same options I had when I was in elementary school. They had sporty eyeglasses and then they had the cartoon driven styles. And there's a place for those, but there wasn't anything for the hipster kid or the kid that cared about fashion. And
the kid with the photographer parents.
Yeah, seriously. The kid that wears skinny jeans and all that. So
I saw his shoes in the videos on your website. Yeah. Kid's got style.
He does. He may not have always been the most comfortable kid, but he looks good.
He looks good.
But no, secretly that was kind of one of those things. He has a different appearance, and so I was like, I don't want another obnoxious thing on his face that kind of is one more thing he could get picked on for. Like, I'd rather him have these stylish glasses that it's more like, those are cool glasses, kind of thing. So yeah, so like you do, you launch your own eyewear company for kids. So
As you do.
Yeah, but I think, going back to your original question, this was a long-winded response, but really we kind of felt like along the way we had these various things, like did photography, did design, had some businesses that were successful, some that failed. So we weren't afraid to try something. So that was one piece that allowed us to really step into it quickly, because there can be that failure to launch or just that fear of the unknown. So we had that going for us because we'd already failed. And so what? Let's try it and see what we can do. But then the second piece was, we had the design background, we had the website background, and we also had just the photography background to feel like we could pull off a brand that would have this like high-end adult feel and just be empowering for kids and exciting for kids. So
yeah,
long answer, but that's kind of what brought us to where we are today.
It's great because you're answering questions that I do have. And the next one I want to know is, like, what does it take to launch an eyewear business? Like, what are the steps that you go through? There seems logistically complicated, let alone the social impact side of things. We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been, it was definitely, it's kind of funny because when Ben had the idea for this business, Jonas was just like several weeks old. Like, it was we were kind of in a whirlwind of a space at that point in life.
Yeah.
And he approached me about it. And oftentimes when he has ideas, I'll just be like, are you serious? Like, that's such a weird, nobody's ever going to want that.
Edible sandals and things like that.
Silly, funny. Some of them are good. Some are not so good. And so he approached me about this we had really good friends in town visiting us to see Jonas and meet him. And so he knew he was in a safe place with our friends. And he just kind of presented the idea. And I felt I was immediately like excited about it. And obviously, as you start going through the process, you get a little bit nervous, like what he was saying, as far as, are we going to be able to pull this off? And we have no, experience in the optical industry, but we figure things out. Like, that's just kind of how we do things.
You're resourceful.
And so, we just kind of, the internet's a beautiful thing. It makes the world much smaller. Yeah. And so we could kind of just go online and start finding manufacturers, having design drawings made. Ben kind of had that InDesign kind of previous, Illustrator, experience. So he was able to kind of figure out the shapes we wanted and all of that, and then able to kind of work with the designers on bringing them to life in actual, 3D.
And that, I feel like, kind of going back to that, like what you were saying about being excited about it, it was, it felt like immediately it was kind of this creative outlet. We felt so helpless with Jonas's situation, and all we could do is shuttle him back and forth from the doctors and, go through all this stuff with him. But this felt like a way that we could kind of just be using our creativity, using some of the skills that we had developed to actually make an impact, not only for our own son, but for other parents and kids who are going through similar things. So I think that was kind of like that driving force that pushed us through some of the challenges that we faced, and, encouraged us to make the initial investment, because we kind of self-funded it on our own. And I know a lot of people, when going into business on their own, like, it's either you stop getting paid and you have a gap time where you need to start getting paid again, or you actually jump in and make a significant investment into something else. And but I feel like for us, it was kind of like I think it was like the fear of not trying it was greater than, or like the fear of like missing out on potentially like this kind of 180 in our life that we felt like we were kind of called to be in, felt greater than, the money we would spend to invest and, all the time we spend to kind of launch it. So anyways, like Laura said, I got to the drawing board. I had already kind of mocked up some designs and had already been kind of like secretly on the side on Alibaba trying to find these, audited manufacturers and stuff.
Can I ask what the initial investment for this type of product-based business would be?
Yeah, we initially started with 5 designs, mostly because of one size and 5 different designs. And it ended up being, I would say all in, probably close to 20,000 that we have invested.
Okay, that's my guess.
With regards to, we didn't order a huge quantity in the beginning. We kind of just did like the bare minimum that the manufacturer would let us.
That they had, so that
we acted like we would be big quickly, and if he would help us out, if they would help us out, that we'd reorder from him, and we did. It was good, but yeah, I mean, it was like Laura said. I feel like the world is shrinking, and it's a lot easier to kind of get access to the resources you need, and I also feel like there's a lot of people out there too that are just like willing to give back their time or expertise if you just actually make the effort to reach out to them. Because I think we were always people that kind of wanted to do it on our own, and this was a space that we were getting into that we had no idea, besides me knowing from being an eyeglass wearer, how it all would work and all of that. And fortunately, along the way, we found some great people who've become kind of advisors and investors in the business that have been really good. Just people that are, just at retirement age or just retired, and they don't really want to retire. They kind of want to use the knowledge they have and pass it along to the next generation. So, but sometimes it just takes reaching out and actually asking for help. And
so were you guys originally just ordering frames? Because how does the lens side of that work? My only experience really since I've been wearing glasses is like a Warby Parker type model or just buying them at the optometrist.
So our model over the years has changed just as we've been able to scale. And so when it was when we first launched it, we were just selling non-prescription, frame only, parent goes on, buys the frame that they want, and we were shipping. And we were shipping them all pretty much ourselves.
Yeah.
We had a girl that was helping us kind of on the side a little bit, but that was about it. And
so you would order them all from China to your house and then fulfill the orders.
Yes.
Sitting in our basement. Yeah.
And they were all organized. We had everything together. But so that was kind of our first stage. And then we knew kind of down the road, we wanted to do kind of a home try-on kit kind of process. And so after about a year, we kind of dove in more to kind of getting more inventory, because you have to have additional inventory to do, fill all of those kit boxes, as well as have inventory that are sellable items.
Yeah.
And so, so we kind of made that leap, and that was the next phase. And so we were still just selling it frame only at that point. And then after that, we found a lab kind of starting to be able to do prescription fulfillment. And then the next step after that, we actually brought a lot of the machinery in-house. And so we fill about 90% of our prescription lenses in-house now. And then we have an outside lab that we do for more advanced higher prescriptions that our machines can't fill. So
when you say in-house, do you guys have a warehouse space?
You would actually be building here.
Yeah, you'd be kind of surprised at what we can do in this. It's not a huge office, but the layout works really well. Unfortunately, it's this really small product, and so we have a room dedicated to it where we have kind of the tracer blocker, edger, and lens meter kind of all in a line. Where
wow.
Yeah. So and then we have a supplier for stock lenses that we order, and so we have I feel like a really good system for all of it. The big thing is just the home try-on kits and coming in and going out. We have tubs and tubs that kind of fill up the hallways of our office. But
what's the logistics of that in terms of inventory management?
It's a lot. Yeah.
It feels like a big jump.
It takes a lot of systems and a lot of just kind of figuring things out as you go. And we're still, today, just always just trying to find more efficiencies, because that's the big thing is your initial way of solving a problem is usually the most labor intensive and, all of that. And so just trying to figure out as we continue to scale up and are shipping thousands of frames a month, making sure that we're shaving seconds off of everybody's workload here and there, anywhere we can, and just finding efficiencies. So so there's a lot of layers to it, especially too with prescription eyewear, because there's follow up. You have to make sure you have the right prescription, that the prescription is valid, that it's not, greater than a year. You have to make sure you have the right pupillary distance measurement. And so there's a lot of steps and a lot of kind of hand holding in the process. Cause like you said, most people are used to more traditional brick and mortar where it's kind of taken care of for you. Where it kind of just happens behind the scenes and you don't have to think about it as much. So
how big is your team?
We have 10. There's 10 of us.
Awesome. So you've grown fairly quickly. I mean, I come from a sort of bootstrapper, drop shipping background. So that's why I'm personally so curious about like the behind the scenes of how you've scaled. Exactly. Yeah. And so I'm curious, you've had a lot of great media exposure. What was like one of the big turning points for you, and how did you go about getting that great PR?
We used about, what was that, a year and a half ago now? Or so, we started working with a girl for some PR, and over the course of the kind of existence of the business, we've kind of like used people on and off, and we've kind of done some media outreach on our own. But yeah, we hired a PR firm, and she landed us the Today Show, and kind of right out of the gate, which she was like, this doesn't normally happen. Like this takes months and months of work and contacts, and they were super pumped to share our story, and it was just a perfect timing. And so that aired at the beginning of December of 2016, I guess. And that was just I feel like that, as far as like broad media outreach, that was like a really big deal, and that was just really fun to see it all come together. And they did it on the Today Show and the nightly news on NBC, and that was just cool. And Jonas was like a rock star for the shoot. He was like in his element that day. Because you never know with young kids, like if he's going to be grumpy that day and not cooperate. But
totally,
he was like so 3.5 at the time, and I was like, oh, please be like on your best behavior. And he was just making the whole crew laugh and was just all about it. And he was amazing, which was awesome. So that piece just really came together well. I felt like they shared our story really well in a 3-minute, time frame that you get, which isn't that long, but they filmed for 8 hours and, cut it down to 3 minutes. And I felt like they really covered a lot in that 3 minutes and really shared our story and our impact, and just kind of got to know Jonas and got to know like why we exist. And I was just really proud of that.
Yeah, I would agree. I think, and there can be a tendency too, when you're kind of an entrepreneur. I mean, you kind of know it's like there's a lot of grinding that's involved as well. Like I would say we haven't really had anything that's just been like a game changer for our business. I feel like even that, it was great and we got a lot of traffic and things, but it wasn't like these Shark Tank moments where all of a sudden, your servers are crashing and all this stuff. So I feel like really for us, I guess maybe it might be an encouragement to somebody, but it's like I feel like Jonas Paul has taken a long time and a lot of like focused effort to get it to where it is today.
Consistent effort.
The big thing. The big thing for us has been just consistency with social media and consistency with our digital marketing. For the most part, I've managed all of our digital marketing, both with Facebook and AdWords. And I just feel like that's been the biggest piece for our business, but it sometimes has felt like a slow burn, just like waiting for that moment. But I think too, just with us, it's such a specific product, and the NBC segment was really great and got a lot of eyes on it, but not everybody, has kids in glasses. So for us being such a niche market, there's value in being the niche market, but at the same time, being such a niche market, you really have to hone in on who your audience is and kind of continue to get the messaging out there for when they're ready to buy. Because there's also the cycle of kids getting glasses every 6 months or so. And so if you hit them at the wrong moment, they're not really interested at the time. So.
And how are you guys, again, I'm so curious from a personal standpoint, how are you guys targeting your people? Because in my head, I'm like, oh, I can think of this group of customers in LA that would be really good, or like the Brooklyn parents, where are the parents hanging out that you need to be targeting?
Yeah, no, you did. Yeah, you nailed it. I mean, those are two of our top like markets.
Geo targets.
Unfortunately, USPS isn't the best in Brooklyn. There's challenges with that. But anyways, yeah. So we have. I always say we kind of have these two different like core groups. One is more kind of the fashion conscious, where the impact is also a nice to have, like kind of a really focused on style and wanting their child to feel beautiful. And then we have another kind of segment that really loves the impact, and a lot of times that's more maybe in like more like religious markets like Salt Lake City or Orlando or Dallas. It's an interesting
Salt Lake City, very fashionable.
Yeah, very fashionable as well. Yeah. But also just I think they love the impact, just through their faith. They like what we've done and how we've spun like a different or how we've responded to a really difficult situation. So
can you speak to that? I would love to elaborate on the social impact that you guys are having.
Yeah, definitely. So we, for every frame sold, we make a donation to our partner. Our partner is CBM International, and they do a variety of different aspects, but what we've really focused on is vitamin A supplementation, because vitamin A is one of the leading causes of preventable blindness, like childhood blindness. And it's also just great for building their immune system as well. With these areas where there's these micronutrient deficiencies, there's higher rates of pneumonia and diarrhea and measles and things like that. So we feel like vitamin A supplementation is one of the biggest impacts you can make. The World Health Organization said that I think it's around 350,000 children annually go blind from vitamin A deficiency. And they say that about approximately half of those children end up dying within 12 months of going blind. Because in the developing world, it's hard. Family members are seen as kind of an asset or a contributor to the community or the family. And when you have a disability like blindness, oftentimes you become a liability. And then if you don't have the right caretakers, or if you have a parent that passes away from something and you end up, in an orphanage and you're blind, there's just, it's devastating and it's a tragedy. And so with that, every pair that's purchased, we actually do 2 annual supplies of vitamin A for 2 different children. So with every purchase, you're literally saving the sight and potentially life of 2 kids. So
wow. And can you help me understand how you formed those relationships? Because you all are a for-profit business, but you have multiple nonprofit partners. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. Throughout the history of our business, we've had different partners. Part of it is, Laura and I became really passionate about both like what I call like proactive, which would be more like the blindness prevention side, and then also the reactive side, which would be more like vision correction, et cetera. Eye tests and those kind of things. So we've felt passionate about both just because of our situation with Jonas, and he was born blind and we were able to actually provide him with some sight. So the thought of these parents, in the developing world where their child is going blind and they can't do anything, just has to be a helpless feeling. So anyways, we're very passionate about both, and we want to help everyone. So in the beginning, we did a lot. So we've done vitamin A supplementation, we've done cataract surgeries, we've done mectazane treatments for river blindness prevention, we've done corrective eyewear, we've done our own eyewear donations in the US. And we've kind of done everything, and we kind of had to like hone in and say like, who's the partner that we really love, the work they're doing. CBM is one that's just a 4-star charity on Charity Navigator. It's like 95% of what they receive goes to the actual people they're helping, which we love, really which is a very efficient organization.
Not that common.
Yeah, not that common where there's all kinds of stuff you hear in the news about that, that type of thing, bloated salaries and stuff. So we appreciate their model, appreciate their heart for what they do. And so we've kind of decided, we've had other partners like Vitamin Angels. We've helped New Eyes for the Needy. We've done optometry giving sight. We've done some, like I said, domestic stuff. Like there's a school in Rochester where a high school teacher wanted to give skills training to high schoolers. So he trains them to be kind of opticians, and then they provide free eye care for people in the community. And so we've sent our own glasses there, which has been really cool because a lot of times the challenge with donated eyewear is it's usually the eyewear that nobody wants to wear, and it's been sitting on the shelf since the 80s. So the person that gets the frame doesn't actually want to wear it because it's embarrassing. So it's been cool for us to be able to actually donate our cool glasses for the kids that are needing them, so that it's exciting for them as well. So so anyways, all that to say, it's been actually fairly recently that we've really kind of made a decision internally to focus on one nonprofit and one cause that we really feel like kind of gives you the most bang for the buck. And also, like I said, it is a matter of life or death, whereas sometimes corrective eyewear, it's helpful in school and all of that, but people can still manage a lot of times with lower vision in the developing world. They can still have jobs, etc. So we wanted to really focus on prevention.
One of the things that is really cool for me to learn through asking you guys about the social impact side is how easy it sounds. I mean, when I read on your site, like every pair of glasses gives another child the gift of sight, I'm like, how are they shipping one pair of glasses here, one pair of glasses there? It just felt very logistically overwhelming. But understanding that you can just partner with a reputable charity organization and donate proceeds. It seems much more feasible. So for anyone who's listening,
they have the manpower on the ground in
they
these
have the
countries.
Systems in place, the logistics.
Exactly.
They've gotten it to where they can get the medicine there very quickly and affordably. And a lot of times too, with like vision correction, they like to partner with local doctors so they don't kind of like infuse the community with all these outside glasses. And then, kind of there can be that like, when helping hurts, you're really trying to do a good thing, but then you end up kind of putting the doctor out of business, and he's the only one that could actually fix the glasses or keep them going and stuff. So, so there can be those logistical challenges of eyewear distribution, as well as kids breaking it, losing it, and like not wearing it. So there's a lot, with regards to that. It's still great work, but in the end, it kind of works out. We feel like the greatest impact is to partner with an organization we just really like, and that has like all these established systems in place and areas they work where they have the access.
Just execute well and do it, and that I think that's sometimes, especially if you support any mission organizations or charities, like personally, I think there's always sometimes that like fear of like, is this actually like
going anywhere
to what I think it's going to? And,
definitely.
And I've had that fear, and I'm sure a lot of people have had that fear before. And I think, and we've just been able to really build a good connection and relationship with them. And
and I like that we can earmark it for specific things. Like they have such a tight ship that they can say this goes to this program in this country, and it isn't as much like a big pot, that could be, like you said, kind of used for anything. So
and then we have dreams of like and having our own like whole nonprofit someday as a part of this, and but those are dreams we have.
We'd love to do more trips where we could actually distribute our own glasses and things like that.
So. I know I was like picturing these not mission trips, obviously, but like donation trips. And I was like, I wonder if that's in their vision.
Yes.
Pun intended.
No, we would love. I mean, that's the whole thing. Like, I mean, what really drives us with this business is really like the impact piece of it. Both on the side of impacting kids by like eliminating those moments where they could be made fun of, and because I think we all think about those moments in elementary school where we were picked on or made fun of, and I'm 36 years old, and I'm like, still, I remember this vividly, and how much that affects your self-esteem and all of that. So we get excited about the idea of creating like a cool brand that kids are excited to wear, because then I think it eliminates a lot of that, the bullying and all of that. So impact there, but then also the impact just with the actual tangible, blindness prevention piece of it.
And where do where do you want to take this in the next 5 years or 10 years? Like what's the next phase look like?
I think we just want to keep on. I mean, we're really still quite young of a business. We feel like we've been really just around a couple of years, and there's still so many people that have never heard of our brand and aren't aware of us. And I think just continuing to like bring brand awareness and build our name in the optical industry, so that the bigger we can grow, the greater impact we can make. And so I feel like we're just kind of on like the start of the race, and you know, haven't really like,
we're just kind of beginning our J curve, and now it's kind of just like we want to sustain it and keep it going.
And I think when you start a business, like, you know, whether it's product based or service based industry, I think whenever you put something out there, you need to test it, and you need to, like, you know, really make sure you've got a good, you know, product to sell. And I feel like that was kind of a big test for us for a few years, was making sure that we were even meeting a need and people wanted to support it and felt like, oh yeah, this is something that I'm excited about, and actually it helps my child, and it, you know, most importantly, like, they can see better when they're wearing their glasses. And so I felt like there was a lot of check marks that we needed to, like, really just make sure we had in place. And I feel like we've been able to do that. And so
no, and that's great. And on that point too, just like refining our product. Before we were more well-known to where we're shipping to more people, I think there was a whole process of going through like multiple iterations of our glasses and refining the fit and refining the features and all of that, to just make sure that we had a really good product when we really did start
because with glasses, I mean, it can be like a millimeter off on the bridge across the nose can make all the difference. And so you want to be really careful about just how you're designing them, especially for kids that might not be able to like communicate exactly like why this doesn't fit, or, you know, what the case is. So so I feel like we've been able to kind of just really refine us and refine our brand, refine just kind of our product in general. And now I feel like we're ready to just take it to the next level. So
do you create new designs?
We try, and that was a big thing from the beginning, that we felt like a lot of people go into an optical store and are like super overwhelmed by the 8 million options on the wall. And so we felt like for us, we wanted to really have a concise collection that, you know, we knew fit well, the shapes were great. Because there's really only so many, let's be honest, so many shapes you can make with glasses.
Look good on people's faces,
you know, you can do circular, you can do a little bit of a cat eye, you can do more rectangular shape, but there's not like a whole plethora of options out there. And so we felt like if we could really refine our collection and then just kind of make that a little bit broader in the sense of the amount of colors we offer. So that's kind of what we've been able to do thus far, is we have 6-7 frame styles, and then within that we have different sizes and we have different color options. And so I think, you know, that way we can, you know, have more of a pink color if a girl wants that, but then we also have more, you know, blue colors, or you have a camo frame that some of the boys like, and along just with like your traditional black and tortoise kind of options too. So
and I think that was one thing that sorry.
No, go ahead.
That was one thing too that we kind of, like, in the beginning, it was kind of financially motivated as well, because we didn't want to invest in 30 different styles and not knowing what people would do. So I do think it actually was kind of like a happy accident, or like more like actually surprisingly people like having more limited options, because it kind of gives you like, okay, here are the options. You don't have to try on like 100 different frames to figure out, you know, what you like. So, and I think it was one of those examples, like a lot of people talk about that, like, you don't have to make sure your product is perfect before you like release it, because it might be too late. So I think that was one piece too, where I think with our previous business experience, like, we had tried things and failed with things. So we were kind of like, it doesn't need to be perfect. We need to just get it like good enough that we can start getting that feedback and start, you know, testing the product and get feedback from customers and actually listen to them and then refine it from there. So, so anyways, I think it was kind of a learning process, but actually kind of, you know, in the end benefited our business and made it more simple for people to choose the frame. So
so now we're trying to, we've kind of gotten in the routine of doing kind of new color launches, you know, every like kind of spring, fall, and then maybe launch like a new frame style within there as well, and then kind of retire ones that don't perform as well. So so it seems to work well. People love that, hey, I like that frame style and I wear this color, but it also comes in, you know, these other 7 color options. So they know that the frame's going to fit well, because the fit and the size is the same. It's just the color is different. So so it's been really fun to just kind of be able to come out with new things like more frequently too. So
have you guys considered doing the Warby truck model and showing up at like back to school night or Scholastic book fairs or something like that, where the parents would be?
Yeah. No, I have. It's funny you mentioned that because I have, these dreams of like doing that kind of like, I mean, the big thing doing like the main thing being like kind of free eye screenings for areas where there's maybe an underserved population or, some schools don't have like mandatory eye screenings and all that stuff. So I kind of have that dream of it being like part of kind of the impact piece. We could have these kind of buses or airstreams that go out and you could have like free eye screenings and discounted eyewear, for just communities where they may not have access to them. So I think that would be kind of
super fun,
a fun thing, but it's just the cost and logistics of figuring that out.
We'll put on the vision board.
Exactly.
I know, but it's been on my radar for a while, I think, or even like a school bus. That'd be a fun.
That would be
really fun. But
And I'm curious, how has your life changed since starting this business?
I feel like it's completely every aspect of our life has changed. I don't think, before Jonas would have been born, if you would have asked me like, where do you see yourself like once your son's born? Like, it would have never been to be running a children's eyewear company.
Like, would have been doing the same thing we're doing now.
We'll probably be shooting weddings and doing our web company and stuff like that. But maybe have some other venture that I don't know what it is because Ben's always coming up with new things. But but I feel like it's been I always say that like I wouldn't change anything, even though it's been like a really hard 5 years, I would say, with just him being born and just the challenges of all of the surgeries he's undergone and continuing to just like wonder about his vision and especially with your first child. And it's also new. You don't know what you're doing. And then you have, a child with special needs, just kind of makes it even harder. But I feel like, we're put on this path for a reason. And I feel like it's just been really amazing to see kind of the journey we've been on, just personally as well as professionally, and how we've grown in so many different ways. And it's just been fun to build a team and work with people that, really care about what we're doing and are excited to be here day in and day out and feel like the work they're doing is, important and impactful too. And I think building a culture, because previously it was just pretty much us running our businesses. So I feel like that's just been really fun. Also to kind of just have a group of people that, surround ourselves with that really care about what we're doing.
Yeah, I love it. And how early on in the business did you guys start hiring and then move to an office space?
Mm-hmm. Oh gosh. Well, we had a few people that kind of just would come in here and there. And this was when we were
originally it was like Jonas's nanny. She was gracious enough to be like, she'd stay a couple of extra hours or come in other times.
She started helping us with like social media because she was a writer, and we were like, hey, you love Jonas. But you want to also do
we're kind of notorious for like, and it's the same in our office. Like to work with us, you kind of have to be flexible and like come into work not knowing what you're going to do that day because it might be some random thing.
To be flexible.
That's kind of how we are. We'll do whatever needs to be done.
You're artist.
So you gotta go with the flow. Yeah. So she was gracious, was like, absolutely. So she kind of got on board and she helped us in those first few months, and then decided to take like a full-time job, which we understood. And and then we had another girl help us just with a lot of shipping, because at that point we were starting to ship more and it was getting a little crazy, and we were still at that point working out of our house. And then we had our daughter, and we were like, this isn't gonna work anymore. Like, we can't have a newborn and she's loud and a toddler, because Jonas was just like a couple years old at that point, and working out of our home. It was just too much. And so we ended up getting an office at that point, and then we kind of were able to start hiring a few more people, and just have kind of continually been able to like feel like we need to hire in the areas that are most, needed. And thankfully, our team's awesome. And it's just kind of like slowly, I feel like, evolved. Like, we haven't overhired. We haven't, of all things, we've probably like asked people to do too many things because, we're still a lean startup. And so, but I feel like everybody, like Ben said, I think is okay with that. And gets excited about not always having to do the same thing every single day.
Yeah, their need for variety is met. That's the thing. Well, I have a couple more questions that I ask at the end of every episode. But before I do that, do you want to let everyone know where they can go to get more information about Jonas Paul Eyewear?
Yes, thank you. So you can just head to jonaspauleyewear.com, and you can find out all the information. You could watch more story behind videos. You could see more about our impact. And then on there, you can also order the home try-on kit if you have a little one that wears glasses, or if you're an adult female with a petite face. We also have women that wear glasses. So
you'd be surprised.
So you can do that. And then obviously we're on all the social media channels as well. And we're posting adorable kids all the time if you just want cute kids to show up in your feed. So,
And they're really quality photos. So do you guys take all of those?
We do. We've started just kind of doing more of the kind of product shots. And then as far as like the product shots on the website, for a long time, we were shooting lifestyle shoots and all of that. And it just got to be too much. And so now we've been able to kind of work with a lot of different photographers that are just excited about what we're doing and, are good with children. And so we just kind of ship them frames and they kind of are able to, and we try and get people in all different parts of the country because we're in Michigan. So we won't have leaves on the trees here till another month.
We don't have sand and we don't have.
Well, we have sand by Lake Michigan, but
cold sand.
It's cold. It might have snow on it still. So,
that's so fun. Looping people in to help.
So we find photographers with similar aesthetic, just kind of our bright, more airy, lighter aesthetic, and
that are just across the country. So it kind of makes it fun and interesting. So if you're a photographer and love photographing children, for sure reach out to us too. And
I will mention this to my photographer here because her aesthetic is very similar. I'll send you her social media handle and you can see. But she might think that's fun, and she has nieces and nephews that are not far. So that would be super.
Looking for more photographers in different areas with unique kids and faces and all that.
And big hearts.
Exactly.
For sure. Well, the last two questions that I ask at the end of every episode. Number one, what is your definition of being bold or leading a bold life?
That's a good question.
You can have different answers.
I think it's just, I guess what comes to mind right away is just being taking a step of faith. I think when whether that's in your personal life or your professional life, I think that can be really scary to feel like you're making taking this big oh, do I do this? And it's scary and it's stressful. And I think that's just I feel like that speaks volumes of people when you when you do take that leap of faith, I guess you could say, and take that bold move. And I feel like it's amazing to see, even though you might not know how it's all going to pan out, and none of us can predict the future, but I feel like I feel like it speaks volumes about people's personalities and just what they believe in, and how they're willing to kind of go after whatever dreams they have. I feel like it's just a really neat opportunity that you have, and so it's scary and it's all exciting and fun and all of it at the same time, but
that's the point.
If you don't go for it, then you'll never know.
I would say probably a similar vein, just being willing to take risks for things that you believe in or feel compelled to do, or just that idea that you always had, I wish I had tried to do that, or remember when I was thinking about doing this, because I just think, I don't know, I just fear that a lot of people live their life with regrets of and they had a good career and a job and all that, but are you kind of dying a slow death inside? Just grinding it out, when you really should be kind of just taking a chance on what you believe in. And like Laura said, it is scary, and you don't want to kind of be foolish and just jump into it without any sort of a friend of mine was recently talking about, he was kind of giving advice to another friend who was considering job careers, and he was saying it's like in the oil business, you're not going to go and buy land for $2 million until you like do these kind of low cost probes in the land to see if there's actually like what you're, oil on the land. So kind of doing the same thing with your business career. Like you can put out these low cost probes and kind of test things out that makes it easier to jump into it. But yeah, the whole point of that being, I feel like just not living your life with a regret of what you could have done. Because a lot of times when you step into a door, even if, like the next door closes, the skill sets and the things that you learned along the way or the people you met along the way might transition you into a different, even better, place than you were before. So I think, again, it's like we've had a lot of failures that we don't need to talk about, but it's okay. They weren't really failures because we learned a ton along the way. And in the end, it helped us, launch Jonas Paul Eyewear and launch it well. So
yeah, I love the no regret piece. I actually gave a TEDx talk last year all about the antidote to regret, and so that really resonates with me a lot.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
And then my people. And then the final question that I ask at the end of every episode is, what's your why? Like, why do you guys get up every day and do what it is that you're doing, or lead the life that you're living?
Mm-hmm. I feel like for me, my why is probably even before we leave the house in the morning and see Jonas, because I feel like without him and without his story and his journey, like literally none of this would be. And I feel like he has undergone a lot more than most of us ever will in a lifetime. And I feel like he inspires me every day to to just not take things for granted. And I feel like that just kind of comes right into the office as far as, knowing that, Jonas was the inspiration behind this business, and he pushes all of us especially when he comes in and visits everyone here. It's just adorable. Yeah. But then I feel like it just pushes us to, just to continue to do good work and to just ultimately, you want to meet your numbers and you want to grow, and all of that I think is obviously important when you're a business owner. But I also just feel like knowing that you're making a really big impact in that kid's, first time wearing glasses, and that could go one way or it could go this way. And, hopefully it goes in the positive direction. Yeah. And so I feel like that's just been really cool to see. But like I said, without Jonas, none of this would be. And he's just an awesome little kid.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll take her answer. No, I would agree. I think it's the same thing. Like Jonas, he changed our lives and he is really our why. But we always kind of say that too. Like it began with our story and now it ends with all the like thousands of stories that are out there now and the ways that we're kind of impacting kids and parents having these conversations with their kids about impact and philanthropy, as well as obviously the kids that we're providing sight to or preventing blindness and, just providing general health to. Mm-hmm. I think like most good stories, it kind of starts with an internal struggle and, but then in the end, hopefully you can kind of push it out and help people like externally with their struggles or, challenges. So
the ripple effect is huge.
Yeah.
Well, Ben and Laura, thank you so much. I'm so grateful to have connected with you guys and to share your business and your mission with my listeners.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you so much for having us. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Definitely.
All right.